underclass. Black folks own half of 1% of anything. Absolutely nothing. No doubt. And they use the term underclass. They don't use the term poor. They use the term underclass. And believe it or not, it is the underclass that keeps the middle class and the upper class afloat. If you think I'm lying, just stop filling up their jails and their prisons across America and see what happens to that stock market. But if you want to take a simple approach to change the creating environment, the only thing that you would have to do is stop spending your money in that controlled environment that was created for you, whereas you would spend your money, spend it with newly developed rat hotels, okay, projects, buildings that was created and erected by the rats for the rats. Your environment will change overnight, but you don't think that it will. And I swear to you, it's that simple. The money is there, but the will to do it and the belief in that will is not. And why is that? It is because of behavior, manipulation, and the experiments that performed. Yes, it is because the behavior, manipulation, and the experiments that has been performed on Black people here in America that has caused them to not do what? That has caused them to not think straight. Can't think straight. And that is an actual fact, like it or not. And if you are thinking straight, and if you can become that which you say that you can become and be all that you can be in the created environment which has been created for you, then tell me, why haven't you done it? I'm just saying. You think about that. Yeah, and by the way, that was like a tongue twister for me. That was a tongue twister for me. But the experiments that has been performed on Black people here in America, aka Skinner, aka the rat, has caused us not to think straight. If you think straight, why would you want to genetically annihilate yourself? Why? Because of the created character that has been created by the experimenter in the created environment. It's outrageous, but it's real talk. That's real talk. Think about the experiments that has been performed on Black people here in America. Just for the fun of it. Think about it. I mean, they used to make us eat cotton seeds just to see what would happen. They experimented upon us with the syphilis, the Tuskegee program. Remember that? And now they are experimenting with mercury that is inside of the vaccine, the vaccinations that your children are receiving from the doctors. You understand? Mercury. And what does mercury do? Mercury stunts the growth and the development of the brain. It cuts the action of the neuron in the brains short, so that you become short-circuited, so to say. Experiments. Same thing with the H1N1. Look at how many people died because of it. And once you find out what exactly is the vaccinations that they are actually injecting into your body, I think that you will have a different scope and a different direction of how you want to approach that situation. Lab rats. And then that created environment that I'm speaking about, which the created character was made or created in, you have positive and negative reinforcements that are administered by the experimenter, whose ultimate aim is to maintain control of the environment created here, created over in Venezuela, created over in Africa, created over in Jamaica, created over in the so-called Middle East, and etc., etc., etc. A great example of this would be, of this positive reinforcement would be for when you go and apply for a job. Because remember, you have to be damn near half black and half white to obtain the employment position that you're seeking, right? So the positive reinforcement in this created environment that has been created for you, the definer says that, okay, we've done a background check on you, and you're not a criminal, from my definition, and you're not involved in helping build an environment outside the one that I have created for you. And you believe that this environment is good for you and is correct, and you are a white person in melanated skin. That's real talk. And why do I say that? Because you literally have to give up all of your originality to conform to their corporate standards, to their way of living, which you judge your way of living by. This is why black people like to keep up with the Joneses, even though many black folk don't have the means to keep up with the Jones. Many black people live outside their means. And then you have those who just don't have the means inside this environment that has been created for you. And like I said, if you meet the criteria of the experimenter, he'll tell you that he's got a job for you over here, and he got a job for you over there, and he has a home for you over here, and he has a home for you over there. But for those other rats, it's going to be nothing but chaos and confusion. That's right. Chaos and confusion for the environment that has been created for you. And if he cannot control you, he will kill you. You think about that. The experimenter who created the environment for you, and the experimenter who has created the character in you to react the way that you do inside that environment, if he cannot control you, he will kill you. Don't argue with me. History clearly tells you that. So you think that your degrees or your money will matter. And in reality, your degrees and your money won't matter when that time comes and they tell you to get up on that truck. That's right. Don't get on that truck. Do you think that the educated Jews were separated from the non-educated Jews when Hitler marched them to the chamber of death? Do you really think that? I would like to see you try that. Excuse me, Mr. Officer, but I'm not like those other rats over there. I got a degree from Harvard or Yale or Princeton, and you know, and I can see what the soldier would tell you. He would be like, "Oh, okay, you can go straight to the front line, go to the head of the line. You're right on time." You know, it's not gonna matter. It's not going to matter at all. The only thing that's gonna matter is this. See that? That's the only thing that's gonna matter. That's the only thing that has mattered. White people into office is going to solve your problem when history clearly tells you the opposite. Not to mention, white folk, the one who run the government, not the little bitty white folk that work 9 to 5 every day. We're not talking about the itty bitty white folk, okay? We're not talking about them. We're talking about the government, that white folk, okay? Who is the experimenter of the project whom he has made them a part of, as well as I specified to you in Lab Rats Part 2. Okay? And you think that he's going to solve your problems when he is the one who actually placed you in the condition in which you're in. You have been voting for him for how long? How long have you had voting rights? And guess what? You're still homeless. You're still unemployed. You still suffer police brutality and murder at any given moment. Yet you're voting for who? You say you're voting for who? I'm just saying. This is the environment that has been created for Black people here in America today and yesterday. And like I said, since 1619. Or if you want to go further, some go back to 1555. But 1555 took place with the Portugal and the Spanish and the Britons and the Dutch and all of that before we who were brought here got here in 1619. But it's been happening since 1555. Okay? But anyway, the system that we're talking about in this environment that was created to cause problems. It's created to cause frustration and self-annihilation, and is dominated by white supremacy, which is a social disorder. And he who dominates that environment and problems that take place in that created environment, because he is the one who created it. And furthermore, is for his best interest and for those who dominate with him. As I stated earlier to you, negative images of young Black men are worth millions, billions, not millions, but billions. Why do you think that they invest in those problems? They actually invest in the problems that occur and exist inside of the created environment. Yet you cannot see your own self-value. And why? Because you have been robbed of your common sense and common intellect through domination and dynastics, which manipulate your behavior. Dynastics of behavior. You should read about that sometime. If you're into psychology, well, I'm sure you've already should have gotten into that if you're in psychology. If you're not, still go and read about the dynamics of behavior. Check that out. And we say that we know better, but we don't do better. And we say that we understand the environment that has been created for us, but yet we have no progress. That's all I'm saying. Lab rats. Even families, black families, have had to adapt, so to say, to the maladjusted, created environment under which we had to live. We had to live under this environment. Our grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, our ancestors had to go or undergo the created environment as well. And if you were paying attention during February, I related a whole month dedicated to all of those great warriors who underwent that created environment and made it and became something not only for themselves but for their people. You see, because the experimenter ideology is individualism, not family. Individualism. And that ideology is that which we presently are existing in. And black families, like I said, had to reorientate that which they wanted to do or what they will do or what they can't do based upon what changes that white America has made in their political and social structure. Holding on to fear every day, a paycheck away from having no place to stay, while gentrification and self-annihilation is the projected future of the rats who are living in the created environment. You think about that. The created environment also advises you not to have children until you are able to take care of them. And trust me, the experimenter is going to make sure that you can take care of them. It's, like a nice way of saying, go kill yourself. Or depopulate yourself. In a friendly manner. One less rat to deal with. You may say I'm bugging out, but I'm giving you the blueprint for the created environment that has been created for black people here in America by the Creator. And you think that you living in a great melting pot that has no bad, no prejudice, no prejudices. Yes, I'm having a tongue twister here again. Sorry about that, people. But the American dream, I tell you, has become the American myth. That's right. The American myth, not the American dream. And with the news media indoctrinating people with negative images of young black men and the families that don't really even exist, with the projection of family life that people cannot even live. You think about that. They are projecting family life that people cannot even live. As Trump would say, it's fake news. Okay? These images that they give us, okay, these negative image of young black men that are worth billions of dollars, these images block us from clearly seeing the reality in which we're in. It blocks us from thinking straight, with realistic rationalization, so to say. And it is these type of images that create in us low self-esteem, a complex of inferiority. And when you realize that the culture in this created environment is a culture of inequality and individualism ideology, you too will see the social dynamic process of the created environment that awaits your every moment. You think about that. If you're poor or the underclass, it's your own fault. You're dysfunctional. You're a criminal. You know, you got ADHD, you got ADA. And your life, from their standpoint, because remember, they did the experiment, says that your life has no value. You think about that. One day, I went to school and went into this classroom, and I saw a note was laid by the lesson plans. And it said, these students are youth at risk. Huh? I had to think so. These students are youth at risk. So just so happens, the principal had just walked past the door in the classroom in which I was in. So I stopped the principal and I asked the principal, what do you mean? Does this memo mean that these children in this classroom, these students that in this classroom are youths at risk? Like, what do you mean? You know, and he replied with a poker face, you know, looked like, huh? Like, I'm sorry. And I replied like, you know, I'm sorry too, you know, playing dumb. But I had to ask him, you say that those children in that classroom are youth at risk. So I had to ask him, who put them at risk? Who put them at risk? Why are we not studying those who put them at risk? When you study psychology, you will see that there are a lot of social interactions that are never examined. And we're so busy looking at the child and their created character versus examining the characteristics of the character who is responsible for that type of charactership in the child in the first place. I'm just saying. And look at the created character. And when you look at that created character and you get your summary from school psychologists or school teachers, school principals, they will tell you that this type of character is the problem. The very same character that they created. And trust me when I tell you, there is a whole lot in the classroom that will make anybody hyperactive. Okay? Prime example. You got two teachers from New York that actually got fired for doing what? Displaying news images. And then you got those other teachers who are committing suicide. Teachers are committing suicide. And then you have those others who are having sexual affairs and having children by the students. Yet we blame the inability and the hyperactivity of the rats and say that that's the problem. And also, we can't forget about the vaccinations, which are filled with mercury to stunt the growth and development of the child, but that's not the problem either. Like I said, I spoke about vaccinations and the CDC and all of that stuff in Lab Rats #2. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. And word of advice, stop believing everything that white psychologists tell you about your child. 9 times out of 10, their way of thinking and their attitude is a direct result of the created character that people like the white psychologists think. It's from their perspective. And it's all a lab experimentation. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. It's a lab experimentation. And like I said, I don't know what happened tonight. I had a tongue twisting thing going on. But trust me, I enjoyed giving you all this information in regards to the lab rat. Okay. And there's something that I want to leave you with in regards to that lab rat, to that Skinner, to that young black man and young black woman that's here in America that is under the experiment of white supremacy. I always speak about your environment, the environment that is created for you. And as I said, I too live in that created environment. What's the difference between me and many rats that live in the environment? I chose to clean myself up. Basically, I'm 50 years old, and I didn't get 50 years old not knowing anything. I didn't get 50 years old not being able to go through anything. Trust me, for those who know me personally, know that I am most definitely a different person today. Okay? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And like I said, you don't have to change the environment in which you're living, because 9 times out of 10, you don't have the money or the means to escape it. So what do? Clean yourself up. I remember back in the day when I was growing up in the 70s, we didn't have none of this going on. None of this going on. People even left their doors open. On the block, in the hood. Straight up. What happened? We know what happened. That's a whole nother story. We know what happened. But the thing is, what are we going to do to change the environment in that which was created for us? Because we can create another environment inside that environment, and we can also create another environment outside that environment if we want to. Stop going to the hot beef store for 2 or 3 days and see what happens. Stop going to the hot beef store 2 or 3 days and see what happens. Stop going to the neighborhood store. It may be a Korean store. And you will see what happens. I promise you, we can change this created environment and the created character that has been placed inside of us like a chip. Another demonstration. That's another demonstration. But yeah, you all think about that. Lab rats. If there's anything that I've said that you like, that can help you, help someone that you know, by all means, tell them about the Mo Show and have them to press that subscribe button. Okay? Press that subscribe button. And by all means, it has been a great series, the Lab Rat series. And I hope that you all got something out of it. And keep working toward that self-upliftment so that you can continue to carry it on to your children, to your neighbors, to your family members. And we can change the created environment if we want to. Because if we don't, we are doomed.